One day, renowned oceanographer Tom set sail on a yacht trip in the Caribbean Sea with his wife, Julia, and their two children, Cassie and Ben. The atmosphere was serene, with Tom and Ben engrossed in fishing, and Cassie preoccupied with her gadget. Meanwhile, Julia decided to take a swim, enjoying the cool, inviting waters. However, just as she began to relax, an unsettling feeling crept over her. She looked around, only to see the ocean's surface calm and undisturbed. Yet, deep within, she sensed an ominous presence lurking, something massive and menacing circling just beneath the waves. Unbeknownst to Tom, who was too distracted by the fishing lines, the yacht's instruments began to malfunction, flashing and beeping irregularly. Julia, now overwhelmed with fear, struggled to stay afloat as a strange force pulled her deeper underwater. Her muffled screams went unheard, drowned out by the sea and unnoticed by her family. At the last moment, Tom finally detected her desperate cries. Panic-stricken, he dropped everything and scrambled to the helm, steering the yacht frantically towards Julia. In a desperate rescue, he dove into the water, and with the children's help, pulled Julia back onto the deck. Gasping and drenched, Julia came to, and although Tom's relief was palpable, frustration surged within him. He had always insisted on notifying everyone before swimming. Julia apologized for her oversight, and the family, eager to move past the scare, turned their attention to a happier event. It was Ben's 13th birthday. To celebrate, Tom lit candles on a cake, and the family gathered to shower Ben with well wishes and gifts. Cassie captured a joyful group photo, immortalizing the precious moment. But the joy was fleeting. Just as Cassie's boyfriend called, an unexpected and violent storm appeared on the horizon. Cassie, alarmed by the weather report her boyfriend mentioned, grew anxious, but he assured her he was safe right before the connection cut off. Abruptly. The family barely had time to process this before they felt a series of powerful jolts shaking the yacht. Rushing to the deck, they discovered an eerie and horrifying sight. Massive, lifeless whale carcasses surfaced, pressing perilously against their vessel. Tom explained that whales could become disoriented during storms, but these creatures were behaving unnaturally, threatening their safety. Braving the chaos, Tom dived into the water to investigate and returned with an injured shoulder, having cut himself on the propeller. Julia hastily stitched the wound while Tom shared troubling news. The yacht's propeller shafts appeared bent, likely struck by a whale's tail, severely compromising their ability to sail. Cassie, desperate for a solution, tried to re-establish communication. But there was no signal, and even the radio remained silent. Faced with this dire situation, Tom assessed their supplies and grimly noted they had enough water for only 4 days. Despite this, he tried to reassure everyone, reminding them that they were on a shipping route and someone would likely find them. As night fell, the atmosphere grew more unsettling. Glowing, mysterious objects began to streak across the sky, crashing closer and closer. In a frantic decision, Tom restarted the damaged engine, narrowly avoiding the meteorites until one, a shattered artificial satellite, came perilously close, causing the instruments to malfunction. The wind intensified, and the yacht was tossed violently by the waves. A strange, ringing noise permeated the air, bringing nausea and nosebleeds. Tom fired a flare, but it was hopeless. The family endured a night of terror, clinging to life. When dawn broke, they were grateful to be alive, but shock set in when they saw their yacht stranded on a barren rocky outcrop in a vast, desolate desert that had once been the ocean. Realizing the unimaginable had happened, Tom theorized that the Earth's poles might have shifted, a phenomenon that had occurred in Earth's distant past. With the sea vanished and the landscape transformed into an alien wasteland, humanity's fate seemed bleak. Unable to process this devastation, Cassie retreated to the cabin, seeking solitude, while Julia took stock of their dwindling supplies. Ben, ever hopeful, released a bundle of colorful balloons, a silent plea for rescue. In a stroke of luck, Tom's distress signal was answered. A captain named Nato, who had survived in a submersible, relayed that the ocean would return in a week with catastrophic force. He advised them to find higher ground immediately. The grim realization hit hard: Nato's submersible could only accommodate one person. With heavy hearts, Tom and Julia decided to prioritize their children's safety. Just as they prepared to embark on a perilous journey, a new threat emerged. A mysterious traveler, accompanied by a dog, approached. Offering the man water, Tom was met with violence instead, as the stranger drove a makeshift spear into his chest. Julia, frozen with horror, barely managed to fend off the attacker, sustaining injuries as she retreated to the yacht. Cassie and Ben helped barricade the cabin doors. With no choice left, Julia hid the children, arming Cassie with a flare gun and instructing her to use it only in desperation. The intruder breached the defenses, scavenging the yacht for food. Julia managed to hide beneath the hull, but when the dog discovered her, she had no choice but to kill it, alerting the man. As he pursued her, Julia outmaneuvered him, but a fierce struggle ensued. Cassie, witnessing her mother's peril, used the flare gun, striking the assailant and inadvertently setting the yacht ablaze. Julia ordered her children to flee, grabbing supplies and leaping overboard. They wept over Tom's body before fleeing into the desert, the yacht exploding behind them. Their journey across the wasteland was harrowing. Desperate for water, Ben fell ill after drinking from a salty puddle, and the family took shelter under a makeshift sunshade. Danger followed them relentlessly as they encountered toxic waste, giant crabs, and ruined remnants of civilization. Julia, wounded and exhausted, found renewed strength in the love for her children. At one point, they stumbled upon a wrecked ship surrounded by survivors, but the people, terrified of the monstrous crabs, offered no help. Despite overwhelming odds, the family pressed on, finding a crashed plane fuselage to rest in. Julia recalled memories of Tom, and the children, grieving, found solace in their mother's determination. Using a flare from Nato as a guide, they raced toward salvation. Yet, even as the sea threatened to reclaim the land, Julia led her children to the yellow submarine. In a final showdown, with crabs closing in and their pursuer dead, Julia and the children made it to safety. The ocean's return swept them away, carrying them to a ruined city. Despite everything, the family's bond remained unbroken, a testament to their unyielding spirit.